Say hi. Can you say hi? Say hi, friends. Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am not prepared for this video at all. I am just winging it right now. All of my other kids are outside of my bedroom playing, so there'll probably be many interruptions, but I wanted to make this video for you guys, and you'll know before I do what this video is about because it will be in the title. But the basis of this video is giving you guys an update on little Miss Hannah here. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, you guys, so first things first, again, if you're new to my channel, Hannah is my fourth biological child. I do have two foster girls at the moment, but Miss Hannah is the youngest in the house right now. She's gonna make a ton of noise, but at least she's not crying. Anyways, she just celebrated, or rather we just celebrated her first birthday. She was born July 2nd at 1:14 a.m. and so we had a beautiful birthday party for her with just us, all of my kids, her dad and his kids, and then my mom and his mom and his sister and some neighbors. It's a little bit of family, I guess. Anyhow, it was just a really beautiful little birthday that we did for her. She had a smash cake, and if you guys follow me on Instagram, I did post a couple photos over there on that. I don't really have any videos of her first birthday, unfortunately, just a whole bunch of pictures. So yeah, I kind of flopped on that one, but I think it was about a week and a half ago. You guys will know better than I will, that I posted a photo of Hannah, and I will try to insert that here. I posted a photo of her, and we were at the hospital. I just asked you guys for some prayers. I wanted to sit down and do an update and kind of explain what is going on with Hannah. We want to share what's going on with her in hopes that it will help another baby out there that may be going through what she is going through. So I do have footage of what is going on with Hannah, and I do feel like that's important to share because when I went looking for answers, YouTube of course was one of the many places that I went. That's kind of how I figured out what was going on with her. I want to go over, first what I noticed in Hannah and what my neighbor actually noticed too. So there were some times when Hannah would cry that she would get incredibly worked up. And a lot of us, when we cry, or we cry pretty heavily for a while, I think everybody, we kind of do that, and it's, it takes a little bit to calm ourselves down. Well, Hannah was doing that almost consistently. Every time that she was crying and she was upset, she would seem to get what felt like very, very upset, and was breathing very heavily, and she was doing some like eye movements that I wasn't really sure about. It just kind of looked like she was rolling her eyes like that. Her cry seemed like she was in pain, and so I would always run over, like, oh, did a mosquito get her, or did the dog get her, like what happened? We weren't sure. Just kind of kept that as something that I would pay attention to, but didn't necessarily think much of it. You guys know that Hannah wears glasses, and I do get asked all the time, how do you know that a baby needs glasses? And then more so, like, how do they know what prescription they need? I'm not going to go too far into the glasses, but they know what kind of prescription they need because of prisms, which is really cool. I'm sure you guys can Google it and find out way more than I'd be able to tell you. But also it was in her head movements, and she would tilt her head to the side and kind of stare off into space. That seemed to be happening all of the time. And so that's when I brought it up to my doctor, and I noticed that one of her eyes was turning in and kind of seemed what is called a lazy eye, or what we call a lazy eye. And so got an appointment with the doctors, and of course they did confirm that she did need glasses and that she does have lazy eye. So anyways, there would be times when I would be feeding her and she's got her glasses and all of that. Change the battery, we're good. Hopefully we can get through this video. So anyhow, I started noticing when I was feeding Hannah that she would kind of like stare off, and not necessarily do the head tilt, but she would just stare off, and I'd be like, Hannah, 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 and she just like nothing, just glaze over her eyes, and I'd be like snapping, like, hey, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden she kind of like roll her eyes, and then she'd come back too. That was going on for a while, and then, you know, she was crying, she was getting really upset. It just started happening more frequently, and one of the times when she was over at my friend's house, she was watching her for a couple hours for me, and it ended up going into one of these fits that she was having where she was crying and she was but while she was doing it, her head was twitching, and my friend just did not think that it looked right, and she messaged me about it later that night, and we talked for a little bit about it, and I ended up going on YouTube and I was looking up infant seizures. And from the videos that I was watching, they're all very old videos, because obviously you're not trying to record your child like when they're in pain or when something like this is happening, but also, you know, you can't mimic it. And so when you're recording it, it's happening to this person's child, and for them to put that out there is very difficult. So I do have videos of these episodes that Hannah was having. There are a lot of different kind of infant seizures. I am no expert. I do not know the names of them. They're not necessarily, and actually very rarely, are they the grand mal seizure, which is what a lot of people think of when they think of a seizure, is like the shaking and the eyes and the falling over, and you know, like, you know, you got to protect their heads and stuff like that. So seizures actually can happen, you know, all the time. And essentially what would happen is Hannah would be asleep, completely asleep. She'd be in her car seat asleep, and I'm not sure if it was a seizure that triggered the crying or the crying that triggered a seizure, because I'm driving the car. But this happened regularly. And she would be in the back, and all of a sudden she would scream out like in pain, like something, you know, like scared, very, very loud. And then instantly it was this but consistent, like, you know, you and me do it and we need to take a breath. Like, I am talking consistent for minutes straight. And I would look back at her and I would see her in her mirror and her eyes would be spasming, all kinds of crazy. And then she would just stop, completely stop. She would fall back asleep, and then it would happen again. Now, I always attributed that to her not liking the car. I always thought she just like really, really does not like the car rides. But again, this was happening more frequently, and then these eye spasms and the way that she was crying, it would go on and off. I mean, a handful of times, 5, 6 times, that she would calm herself down, she would fall right back asleep, and then she would wake up and be screaming in this kind of pain. I've pulled over many times to check on her, see what's going on, and there was nothing physically there that was going on. No, it was very scary. So I went to the doctor, and I actually went for something else. I didn't go because I didn't feel like I had good videos yet of what was going on with Hannah. But I was at the doctor and I was getting her seen for something, whether it was a runny nose or something, and she says, is there anything else that is going on? And I said, you know, actually, yes, there is. I think my daughter is having seizures. And I explained very quickly what she was doing and the noises that she was making. And she actually, you know, thankfully was like, I don't want to mess around with that. Let me get you over to a neurologist. So we did, and the referral and all of that took a hot minute. But the picture that you saw was taken when her father and I, and her, of course, were at the hospital, and we were getting her MRIs. And she had to be put to sleep for these MRIs. And it was very frightening and scary. We had no answers to anything because they didn't know anything. Nobody knew anything. She was ordered to have an MRI of her brain and also of her lumbar spine. The doctor had noticed that at the base of her spine, just above like the crack where her butt cheeks are, if you will, there's like a dimple, and I guess some kids can have that, and it can actually be an opening like into the spine, which of course is not good. And so she wanted to check on that. And then we also had to do, now I'm forgetting the terms for it, I apologize, I'll try to write it on the bottom here. But so they, you know, they put that in her to brighten up certain things. And so, you know, it was a lot, and it was very scary. They were in there for longer than they said that they were going to. I mean, you never know what's going to happen when you put your child to sleep. And thankfully she did great. There were no complications. Of course, right when she woke up, she had another one of the, at this time we were just calling them episodes. She did okay. She nursed, and then I took her home. The next day we went back into the hospital and had to do her EEG. Now that one we were allowed to be in the room with her, and both parents were allowed to be with her. And she did great. It wasn't a long wait like the other one was. We were there for 5 hours for the MRIs, but this one we were only there for about 2.5 hours, and an hour and a half was us actually in the room. It took about 45 minutes to get all of the, I don't know the terminology, I'm so sorry, but they, you know, of course they're measuring brain activity, and so they put all of these things all over her head, and they're all connected, you know, with wires to this box which is reading information. So that took a while, and then we had to get them on, and they literally used like glue and get them on. I was laying down and nursing her pretty much the entire time and trying to keep her still, and like I said, that took about 45 minutes. And then after that they were like, she was like, okay, it was actually just one lady, she was like, okay, now try to get her to sleep. And I'm like, okay. So I just laid in the bed with her, and thank the Lord above, I mean, I had a camera on her watching her movements, and you know, all of these things. Now this lady was very like entertaining. She was high energy. She was a very sweet lady, and you know, she set us all up, and Hannah did fall asleep. I nursed her. I was able to kind of like levitate myself out of the bed, and she stayed there, and I didn't notice, you know, like any weird movements or anything like that from Hannah. They monitored her for I think about an hour or so, and then she came in, and her whole like persona was different, and she seemed very like melancholy. And I knew that, you know, something was going on, and that this wasn't just like a fluke. And then she woke her up and started pulling these things out of her hair. Well, it hurts because they're glue. Well, that flipped her into another episode. She starts doing this, and she kind of is holding her, and she looks at us and she says, is this what she does? And I said, yep, that's what she does, and that's what we're worried about. And she says, okay. And then, you know, we gently take the rest of them off. We go home. So very long story, not made very short. I'm trying. Hannah has epilepsy, and it sucks. Thankfully, epilepsy doesn't hurt, and she is having multiple seizures, even ones we're not seeing. Her lower left part of her brain has something that may or may not be what has caused the seizures, and also what has caused her to have you know, not the best vision. And they've run more tests, we just don't have the results back for those yet, to see if that's the case. Apparently at one point the neurologist believes that it may have been while I was pregnant or during her birth, but that she had like a little hemorrhage in her brain, and it caused some scarring, and that may or may not be. She says it's near the area where the seizures are happening, but it is not, like, she can't see enough, because we're talking like microscopic. And then that wasn't all. Unfortunately, news that we were not expecting and still do not have any answers to. So if you are a praying person, I ask for your prayers for my daughter. And I mean, epilepsy cannot be cured, it can just be managed. We are currently working on managing it with medication, and we've got a long road ahead of us to figure out what works and what doesn't. As far as the other piece, I have limited information, but essentially Hannah has a cyst that is about 2.5 centimeters, and it is at the base of her brain. We are meeting with a neurosurgeon, which that word in itself scares me and would probably freak out any parent. It's not saying that she is set to have surgery, but the neurosurgeon will decide if the cyst needs to be taken care of or not. And we don't have those answers yet. So we're currently waiting on chromosome testing, blood work that was done, and a referral for the neurosurgeon, so that we can get that all set up and scheduled. I do have video footage at the end of this video, possibly put it just as a short in its own video, so that I can kind of hashtag the heck out of that for somebody who's searching like I was. So the seizures that Hannah is having are called focal seizures, because they are coming from one specific area of her brain. So far the medication is not stopping any that we can see, but again, there are also seizures that we are not noticing. The neurologist did say, you know, the reason for the crying and pain is I guess when you wake up from a seizure, you're very confused and you don't really know where you are, even if it's a short one or a long one. And so she's essentially scared, which is heartbreaking. But we are being as strong as we can. She is the best baby in the world. She is so incredibly sweet and loving and snuggly, and I would not know what to do if anything ever happened to her. So please keep her in your prayers, keep her in your thoughts. And if you are someone who is watching this video who has a baby, you know, or even just somebody you know with epilepsy, you know, I'd love to connect. Feel free to comment below. And yeah, I hope that I can, you know, potentially help another mom or dad out, or somebody, you know, with a baby. And yeah, so anyhow, on a brighter note, Hannah is doing wonderful. She is doing wonderful. She's crawling, and she's crawling so fast. I will yeah, those are her words. Yeah. And she's giving kisses. Tell me that's not the best. You are the best, baby. And she's doing so good with her pincer grasp and eating. She's eating so much better. So yeah. All right, camera cut out on me. I think its limit's 25 minutes. But anyways, so that tells you how long I've been recording. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for your support, your love. Any nasty comments or anything, of course, will be deleted. If you do not have anything nice to say, just don't say anything. We really appreciate it. Again, if you're not following me on Instagram, I do post sometimes over there. I haven't been posting very often. Again, life's just been crazy. Oh, lastly, if you are watching this and you made it to the end, I am working. So I will likely be changing my upload schedule, and yeah, but I will keep you guys posted. I will let you know. I'm hoping to crank out the videos. This was one that I wanted to get done. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and your support. If you're not already subscribed, please give this video a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. Goodbye. Goodbye.